Welcome back to Bluebirds Walk. A couple of weeks ago, lots of fans were talking about Barry Murphy as being one of the best managers they've ever had. This week, after Blackpool, some are starting to turn on him. Can you believe it? Matt the Moose says he's Omar Reza Mark II. He's a coach, he's not a manager. Dreadful, dull, boring football, sideways and backwards passing at walking pace. Most supporters can see Ashford is not good enough and one up front isn't working. Yet he picks Ashford and plays one up front every single week. Coming up this week on our Cardiff chat, are fans overreacting to that Blackpool loss? We're also talking about the manager merry-go-round. We've also heard Middlesbrough fans might be interested in taking your manager off your hands. Plus, we're talking about the Fair Play League. How dirty do we think Cardiff are? Hope you are all well. We've got Jamie and Ellis back with us. Jamie, are fans overreacting?
I wouldn't say overreacting. I think they're probably frustrated. It seems to be rinse repeat in the way that we lose games. In the stands yesterday, there were a few fans quite openly saying, why are we going backwards? We're 1-0 down. Where's the pace? Where's the tempo? Where's all these things that maybe BBM has said that he likes his teams to play when we lose? And we've lost a fair few, I think, is it four games recent of late? We lose pretty poorly and without any of those keywords of pace and things like that. As the previous mentioned tweet there in regards to Cian Ashford. Cian Ashford has pace. We're not seeing it because we're not necessarily quick enough to get the ball out wide. And teams are able at the minute, I listened to Ian Everett's interview, they're able to bring their centre-halves out into midfield and just basically man-mark Ruben Colwill. That kills us. And unfortunately, we're going through a bit of a sticky patch where the only positive yesterday was that only Bolton were the ones who picked up the results. So we're still in and around it.
To balance the view out, thanks, Jamie, for that. Jake says, cue the overreaction from people who didn't watch the game. It looks worse on paper as a result than what it was. We could have and should have been 4-0 up before half-time, but their goalkeeper had a man-of-match performance. We conceded from sloppy defending for the first and then the same for the second. Ellis, do you agree with that post?
Yeah, I do agree with that, because the first half, we looked good. If it wasn't for some really good saves from Peacock Farrell, we could have been a goal or two up by half-time, and that would have changed the whole complexion of the game. It is the same old story. We didn't take our chances. We went into half-time 0-0, and the second half, our defending was really, really poor. We were so open at the back. I think that's the most open I've seen that defence. And we had Lola there, who's, I'd say, our best centre-back. And we had Chambers, who's been in really good form, really, in the last 2 games he's played. So, yeah, it's worrying. But, going back to the style of play, when we're on it, the style of play, it's really entertaining to watch and it's really effective. But when we're off it, we lose like we did on Saturday. And it was really poor watch.
Yeah. It's interesting, Mark, to step in there. What you said is Blackpool fans on the train home we're saying, it's always nice when you win, I suppose, so you can look at the other side and give them praise when it's due. And they were like, oh, you play some really good football and all the superlatives that go with that. But it does go down to quite often, isn't it, that the only thing that necessarily matters is the scoreboard. We've heard from our club hierarchy that they're basically not accepting anything less is promotion this year, and we are going for a bit of a spell, and we have got a young squad. So it is learning the hard way. It is learning on the job, so to say. And this schedule that we've had has been very, very grueling in terms of travel. I mean, it's been 1,500 miles in the space of 14 days. So, they may be excuses and granted, but we have to pick up the tempo. We have to be more consistent, because Barry Murphy keeps talking about the word consistency. The only thing that's consistent at the minute, I think, are errors that are creeping into our game from either individual errors or just people not necessarily performing to the levels he's expecting.
Very true. There was one player who keeps getting called out, and I'm sorry to sound like a broken record here, but we only report what people are saying on Twitter. Ellis John says, there's no surprise since Robertson's back in. We've lost every game. He has no tenacity. Wintle now has to play. We desperately need reinforcements. Centre mid, 2 wingers and a striker. This team aren't clinical enough, and the reason we got relegated, we need to adapt and be more clinical. And there's another one about adaptations in a minute. Are they right about Wintle needs to play here, or is it harsh?
I mean, I love Wintle. I think he's done a really good job since this season, but I do disagree with Robertson. I think Robertson's looked quite sharp since he's come back. We've seen those moments of class that he still has. He can ping a pass that not many other players would see. So no, I disagree that Robertson has been the cause of our losses. We've lost every game he's been in because every game he's played in this season, we haven't been on it as a team. I think I probably still prefer Wintle because I'm a fan of his. But I think Robertson, once he gets fit and firing, he's only just come back from injury. He hasn't had a lot of match time in the last year. So yeah, I think once he's back fit and firing, he's like a new signing, and he can play really well in that sixth slot. And it's a position we haven't seen him play in much for us because last year when he played, he was more of a number 8 or even a number 10, wasn't he? So no, I still think Robertson's got a big part to play.
Jamie, do you agree?
Yeah, I think we said last week, didn't we, with the title in regards to who do you think needs the rocket, and you know what, and it was a case of, like I think I said at the time, it just needs that fitness to come quicker. He is probably 1 or 2 steps off it in terms of how we know he can play. I just think yesterday we were easily cut through the middle because Bailey, Peacock, Farrell went long and they played to their strengths. Naturally, then you cut out the midfield and any little knockdowns. Unfortunately for us, we didn't have, like you said, the defensive-minded, maybe Ryan Wintle, that defensive-minded number 6 there. So they were picking it up, whereas we had Joel Colwell and Robertson, who were probably 2 more attack-based players. So I think it's that happy medium, isn't it? If you're on top in games and you're playing free-flowing football full of confidence, you play with your 3 attacking midfielders or 3 attack-based players. But in games like Blackpool, maybe similar to Bolton, we've been exposed by maybe a bit of physicality, maybe a bit of lack of maturity at times, because we have got such a young squad that those little fine arts, the dark arts of the games, we're not really at it at the moment. And that'll come with learning. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't come with frustrations. And I think yesterday, I for one was pretty frustrated walking out of Bloomfield Road yesterday thinking, like we've said there, we should be 3-0 up half time probably. And we're not. And ultimately, the longer the game goes on and you don't take your chances, the other team wins. And credit to Blackpool, I suppose they were more clinical yesterday.
Final one on here. Some fans, Alice, are saying you're getting figured out now by managers. Adrian says other teams were caught by surprise at the beginning of the season by our style of play. Now they have adapted, and we just haven't adjusted. They are allowing us to attack in numbers, pass around, and then when it breaks it down, they hit the long ball, knowing that we only have 2 defenders. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, and the game against Blackpool was a perfect example of that, wasn't it? Like, I think it was Fletcher's first goal where it was literally just Lawler there and a few others tracking back. And like I previously just said, I'm a fan of our style of play. I think it's quite nice to watch when we're on top of games, but I do also agree that it's, I think the manager's a bit one-dimensional with his tactics. We haven't really seen much change. I think now that we're seeing the teams are playing against our weaknesses, I think Brian needs to look at the other ways that we can approach games and be a bit stronger at the back and not be so open and susceptible to the long ball and counter-attack.
Okay. Brilliant. Right. Thanks for that. We'll carry on with the manager bit at the moment. You'll probably have seen that it's manager merry-go-round season at the moment, especially up in the Championship. We've got Norwich, Southampton, and Middlesbrough, which have lost their managers in this last week, and possibly more to go as well. Maybe at Leicester as well. Jamie, does it surprise you that BBM's name is being mentioned in these circles? I mean, we've seen one tweet from, I'm not saying a very reputable journalist at all, given that he works for The Sun, but suggesting that Middlesbrough might be interested in having a conversation with Cardiff. Did you see that happening?
I don't. I mean, listen, he's got a good philosophy on paper, as we say, and he talks a good game. And to be fair, at the start of the season, you'd be like, wow, you can see why he's been at Man City and Man City valued him, and and what he believes in his ethos, I suppose, is is suited for certain teams. We're in transition. Let's not make a mistake about it. And I think BBM knew that when he was coming in. We have so many young players as well, and we are a League One team. So all these factors, you're probably not going to see a great or the optimum way of playing that he wants to play. Middlesbrough have got some good players, and they're renowned for playing a good attack-based football. The same with Norwich. I believe his partner is family are from Norwich way. So it's silly season, isn't it? And I hope one thing that comes out of it is that it doesn't detract us or distract anything from us, because naturally, when you've had a poor run of results, any sort of links or what have you could ultimately add that fuel to the fire. And I just hope it doesn't. And we reset and we kind of learn from our last block of games and then just go at it. And when we come back in the league.
Oh, okay. Alice, can you see him going anywhere? Do you think he would rebuff any interest in Middlesbrough?
No, I mean, I'm it's probably more hope than think. But, I hope he doesn't go. I don't think he will. He strikes me as the type of person that he gets invested in a project. And I think, he's got a project here at Cardiff. And I think he's invested in, seeing it through. I do think his style of play would probably be more suited to the Championship, to be honest. It's a little less physical than League One. So I think he'd do really well in the Championship. But let's just hope that his style of play works in the Championship with us.
Yeah.
We're looking at fair play because it's time to pause. Cardiff have been known in the past for being maybe not shy of the tackle, but where do you think, Jamie, that Cardiff sit in this year's Fair Play League so far, given what you've watched?
I don't advocate for necessarily being too physical, but I talked about the dark arts. I'd love us. I know it's maturity, and you probably learn those things, and we've got a young squad. But when there's, if it's a 50-50, I think you take man and ball. It's the League One teams, like Ellis just said there, they're going to smack you. It's a physical league. You've got to fight fire with fire. Yesterday, I think there was an example where Ronan Gapacchio was on the right-hand side, one-on-one with a marker right next to the touchline. You're probably, I think it was 2-0 at the time. Just take the yellow card, pull him, do whatever you can. And I think he just I wouldn't say let him, but the player got past him. They're the little moments that you think, right, we need to stop the flow of the game, especially when Blackpool or teams are dominating. Just stop the flow of games. And I think we could probably be a bit better at it. But knowing our luck in recent history, we end up getting too many yellows and we see players get suspended. And we haven't got the biggest of squads as it is.
Yeah. We have a look at it then from a transfer market then. According to latest data, you are the sixth nicest tier, Ellis. In the league, no red cards, 26 yellow cards, which isn't anywhere near the highest there. With Lincoln, Wigan, and Plymouth being the dirtiest. Does that surprise you that you are nice to play against?
No, it doesn't surprise me really. We got such a young squad and players who are playing their first or second season of senior football. I think they're there to impress and to show how good they are on the ball. They're not really well versed in, like Jamie said, the dark arts. Perry Ng was, I don't like use the word dirty, but he was one that would stick a challenge in or do something off ball, get a card. He's not playing as much this season, and players do like to get stuck in, like the Joe Rolls aren't here. So no, it doesn't surprise me really, and I think it's something we could do with a bit more.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Right, finally this week then we're up to the A to Z of Cardiff City. We've been tracking this. We've done A, B, C and D. This week we're looking for the one player or the one stadium or memory that should encapsulate Cardiff City, the best for the letter E. More tricky than maybe this week. What have you got, Ellis? We can't put you in there, I'm afraid.
Oh, my answer's gone then. No, I struggled with this one, and I keep forgetting that we can do moments in stadiums, so I've been thinking players.
You can go Ellen Road if you want, although you don't have happy memories of that.
No, I'm not going to Ellen Road. Check out in a bit. No, I think I'll stick player because obviously I think the obvious one that stands out to me is Robert Earnshaw. He turned out to be a bit of a journeyman, played for a lot of teams, but his best stint came with us. And he was a bit before my time in terms of watching him, but he's a well-known player. So I think he played for us the last time we were in League One. So I'm going to stick his name in the hat for me.
Yeah, good. I think it's a quiz question, isn't he? He's the only player that scored a hat-trick in every league, from Premier League down to conference. Jamie, can you beat that?
Yeah, that was number one. The other one, I think, probably more recent, I think played really, really well for us was Neil Etheridge. Is in the Premier League season, he was phenomenal. The penalty saves he made, and he was part of that great group of squad that Neil Warnock had. And we signed him for literally nothing, and he became somebody that was always reliant. We've had a fair share of bad people let us, I must admit. Yeah, I think Ernie is the one that is the standout for us.
Okay. We'll have to do the Hall of Shame next and put you in as well.
Yeah, stick Keane in for that one.
Right, in the comments then, please. Who else beginning with E? Let us hear that thoughts. Yes, and of course we had Cardiff yourselves were put in for was it the FA Cup final, Carling Cup final? So did you put it in for you? Forget who you played then.
Played Liverpool, didn't we? Unfortunately,
that's Bill, right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll give you 2 weeks off from talking about Cardiff. We'll, of course, be back in a couple of weeks to review the next game and also look at the letter F as well. Join us for that. Do drop us a quick subscribe. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers this week. That'd be absolutely amazing if you can push us over that line. Thanks for watching. Thanks, you two. We'll see you in 7 days.